Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today for Gen Z Reviews. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by Kyle Corwith is back again. He is now a frequent flyer on the channel, same as my friend Gally-Ardo Luke, and special guest, Gen X-Man, the man, the myth, the legend himself. He came from his high ebony tower somewhere in the world, nobody knows where, and he decided to join us here today. So thanks, guys, for joining us to talk about Godfather Part 2. We had the pleasure of discussing the first film not that long ago. And for me, that was the second time I'd watched the first one. I really enjoyed it the second time. After we did the stream, I ended up watching it again on my own. I really fell in love with Godfather after that. I remember the first time I watched it, for whatever reason, I wasn't that captured by it. And everybody made fun of me for that, including you, Carl. But I loved it a lot more the second time than I watched it the third time. So now I love it. Here we are. We're talking about Godfather Part 2, though. Before we do, though, how are you guys feeling? Feeling good today? It's good to have you. Thanks for joining me. Ooh, Kyle's popping a cold one. He's warming up.
It's just sparkling water right now. It's carbonated water.
Okay, good. He's being healthy. Gen X Man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Happy to be back. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we had to have you back. After watching Godfather Part 1, you grew up with Godfather. It was in your life. I mean, we're youngsters here, and we didn't have the pleasure of exploring that in our youth. And I know you definitely didn't, did you, Kyle? I mean, this was the 70s, so no.
How old do I look?
I don't really know with anybody. You know what? I see a movie and then everybody makes fun of me because I didn't grow up watching it. So now it's like I'm cautious with anybody.
I didn't grow up watching it either.
And okay, good.
Just saw the entire.
I know you're not as old as. There's no way you grew up with this. I know that for sure because these movies are pretty freaking old.
I could have. I grew up watching Jaws '75.
Well, I mean, as it releases. You know what I mean?
I didn't grow up no, I didn't. I wasn't alive when it came out, but I grew up watching it on VHS. With the Godfather trilogy, I only just saw it this year.
Okay. Wow. That's exciting. And yeah, you recently watched Godfather 3 too. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. I know we're gonna get into that a little later. Yeah. Kyle's got some big thoughts for us with that. Well, you know what? This was our first time watching this movie. This is the first time I've ever seen Godfather Part 2. I never thought I'd even dive into this, but I just fell in love with the first one so much that I just knew we had to continue this story. And this movie is so long. My gosh, 3 hours and 22 minutes. All the guys that came in here for movie night, everyone knew how long it was. It's so funny. No one ever comes in and knows the exact duration of a film. Everyone knew it was long because I had everybody meet here at 5:10 p.m. Eastern time. Normally, everyone comes at 6. So I wanted us to be prepared, have plenty of time to chew on this. And that's why we're also 10 minutes later in the stream because this is a dense film. My gosh, this is truly way harder to chew on than the first movie.
You thought Oppenheimer was long?
Yeah. This was like reading 2 novels front to back.
It was an investment. If anything, it was a sacrifice.
It was a Well, you know what? That's like there's kind of a negative connotation of that, though, right? A sacrifice. Like you don't really want to do it. You don't really want to spend your time doing something. Yeah,
it's no Lawrence of Arabia. Let me say.
No. Okay, so you liked Lawrence of Arabia more than this?
I'd say so.
Wow.
I don't know.
Luke got to see Lawrence of Arabia with me in theaters, which was fun. We got to watch that. And I surprised him. He didn't know what he was getting into. Did you, Luke?
Nope.
Nope.
No, not at all. I mean, you told me as we sat down 4 hours and like 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, no. It's like already 8 o'clock.
That was a good day, Luke. That was a good day. I'm glad you came. But, Luke, why don't you start? Because for all the guys that showed up today, we had maybe 6 or 7 of us. Only one guy has actually seen it, and he's a lot older, and he is not one of the regulars here at the house. So nobody else has seen it. Why don't you give us, just right off the bat, your out of watch through reaction, first time? How'd you feel?
There was like I said, it was I kind of liked it better than the first because there was a lot more drama. I think a lot more drama in it, a lot more violence throughout the movie, like scattered. Not all the events happen in the very beginning or the very end. There were at least 3 or 4 shootouts at least that I can think of that happened in this film rather than I'm kind of blurred from the first film. I don't know. I forget almost everything.
Oh my gosh, Luke.
Sadly, but I kind of like this one a little better because De Niro. This is De Niro's first appearance.
Yeah, De Niro. Yeah.
Okay. He was almost unrecognizable. I really didn't like his character.
Oh, you didn't like him?
He was kind of odd.
Wow.
Just,
yeah, here he is.
Kind of an oddball. Like you don't like that. Does not look like he looks like a non-malnourished version of De Niro. Like
yeah, look at that.
Very skinny, just such a he's Italian, right?
I imagine so.
He
Jeez, he's in
like
all these mafia films.
He gave me like a French vibe. I don't know. Just the way he like acted and talked.
Just put a baguette in a grocery bag. He is a grocery clerk. So there you go.
What
put
it
a baguette in the bag and he's hauling it around.
There's the connection.
He's French.
A lot of drama, a lot of drama, especially with some of the side characters like Talia Shire, her and Talia Shire.
Who's that?
The sister.
Yeah.
Okay, the sister.
Michael.
Yeah. She was a lot more involved in this one. I liked
that is true.
Affair they were having. The tall.
Not with her brother.
No,
that comes later.
No.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. There is a little bit of
serious?
incestuousness in the third film, but
that's typical. Great.
But that's my take on it. A lot of drama. I liked.
Okay, but you enjoyed this better than the first one.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, good for you. That's saying a lot. Also, real quick, I just want to call on the chat. Proctophile also watched this today for the stream, and he saw Friendship. He dipped out during intermission to get both in. You're the man. I like that, Proctophile. Also, let's say hi to everybody real quick. Wilkie, sup, man? Good to see you.
Corey.
Follow me back on X. I sent you a friend request. And then Cass is here. Hey, Cass, thanks for joining us. Gen X Man, this is your first time watching Godfather Part 2 as well. How did you feel just emotionally, real quick?
Emotionally, how did I feel?
Were you satisfied?
I was satisfied. I was trying to think about what was the one thing about this movie that I took away from it. And I think any good movie is sort of a morality tale. And this definitely was, because I can't even remember his name anymore. Not the original Godfather, but his son, who we followed,
Michael,
in earnest, through the second movie. You really saw his character evolve and ultimately just sort of disintegrate at the end.
Yeah.
And, that was, if you asked for an emotion, I guess it was sort of a certain satisfaction. He didn't finish, on top of the world. He kind of finished at the bottom of the bucket.
Yeah, he's pretty miserable there at the end.
Yeah.
That's
a great word that you just described the ending as. For his character, he felt or seemed disintegrated. So he secured his space in the world, but he also ruins his soul by doing so.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the lives of everyone around him.
Yeah, he kind of ruined everyone's life.
And seriously, some lives ended, some lives were more or less emptied.
Kyle, how do you feel?
My question is about spoilers. Can we just talk?
Yeah, spoilers.
Okay, yeah.
For the reason is,
I know. Okay, so just for the audience, considering that.
Yeah.
Thanks, so the reason that he loses, he creates a terrible situation for his soul and his family and the people around him because he murdered his brother. He sent one of his muscle men, essentially, to kill his brother. So, and the reason is because his brother was ambiguously involved, or possibly knew, at least he knew something was going to happen at the beginning of the film of an assassination attempt on Michael. Yeah. So that's an interesting thing I want to ask you guys about is how much do you think Fredo knew about the assassination? Did he know that they were trying to kill Michael, or were they just trying to scare him? Or was it he didn't know much of anything at all, only that I think he opened the drapes so that they can get a good sight in his bedroom to kill him.
I don't know.
But yeah.
He was really. Before I answer that, I want to give my reaction real quick, just because I haven't yet.
Mhm.
But then I want to answer that. So, how I felt after seeing this for the first time, I went in with a totally different idea as to what this movie was going to be. I, I'm kind of disappointed. I was a little disappointed. I saw that people rated Godfather 2 really highly, like as highly as the first one. So when I saw that, I was convinced that I was going to get like the Godfather again here with Al Pacino as the main host of our entertainment. And I don't know, it kind of let me down a little bit. I was hoping that we were going to see this like absolute kingpin mob boss at the height of his power. And yet we saw, some inklings of that. But the whole story kind of focused on Al Pacino in a very vulnerable state yet again. And I don't know, like for me, I'm kind of tired of seeing, the big boss man ultra vulnerable and open. And that's kind of what happened again here. And for me, that was disappointing. I was hoping that we would get a more powerful Godfather here, with all like unlimited resources at his disposal. I think we sort of get set up in the very beginning with that when the attempt is made on his life. And you see just how many goons he has working for him. I mean, he literally has an army of guys. But then throughout the rest of the movie, it just seems like he's kind of on his own, just using himself as the only instrument of progression. So for me, that was a little disappointing. And I think overall the tonality just felt different. It didn't really feel like Godfather at all. I mean, a lot of this film, it takes place in Cuba. And it did not, it felt so off. It was like Godfather on vacation. And, the whole setting was weird. The music for me was also off-putting. That's something I loved about the first one was I just felt completely immersed with like the violin in the background, with the classical theme that is, spread around the whole film. It created a real atmosphere that this one did not have at all. And
let me ask you, did some of these music cues sound like a horror film? It did to me.
Really? I didn't pick up on that.
Creepy music cues in this. They're unsettling sometimes. And I think it's obviously intentional because they wanted this movie to be darker.
Oh, it definitely was. Yeah. And to answer your question now, Kyle, I just wanted to get that out of my system.
About Fredo. How much did he know?
I don't know. So that was something that was let me pull up a picture of Fredo here.
Hey against
I
Michael?
like this one. Yeah. So for anybody that isn't too familiar, this is Fredo. This is Al Pacino's older brother, who is kind of a nitwit.
Yeah, and there's only one guy. He doesn't have a twin.
What do you mean?
You got two.
Oh yeah, there's two guys.
Like
I know. These aren't two brothers. This is just him seen twice here, a duplicate. It looks cool.
This isn't a Sinners situation.
No,
like Jordan playing two characters. They're twins.
Yeah, we didn't need two of these guys. No, but he's sort of the nitwit older brother, and he's part of the family. And you think in the first one he's really in the background, does not play a very prominent role at all in here. Except the second one, he's pretty prominent. He's actually really probably one of the top 3 focused characters in the whole movie. A lot of drama surrounds this guy. And I actually really liked seeing him develop, and how I thought it was very captivating, like the suspicion and the suspense that surrounded him and his ridiculous choices he made. So yeah, Kyle's talking about, he brings up this big dilemma that happens in the movie where Michael and his wife are sleeping, and they are so nearly assassinated. They're so close. Somebody, like Kyle says, they open up, the blinds are open. Someone unloads like a Tommy gun right through the window, slicing the window open. Could have cut all these guys up, but no, they survived. And a lot of the movie, you're trying to figure out who done it, who staged this, because somebody in the family was responsible for making this happen.
Well, when you say family, you mean within the commission. And by commission, I mean the
circle,
the criminal organization. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the inner circle. Yeah, as they refer to as the family. But I guess not everybody is referred to as the family, though. That's like just certain people. But so Fredo here, he's kind of on the hot seat a lot of the time, and he slowly gives himself up, by giving us literally like dialogue cues that he was a part of this to some degree. And I started to wonder what his involvement was in particular. right off the bat, because you start to see just little inklings of his nervousness, and then of course it gives it away when he's in that weird like sex show thing where they're
Yeah, I
watching.
call it a sideshow, like freak show kind of situation, but
That was
apparently
freaky, bro.
it is like a side sex show type of thing. Yeah,
That
underground
was weird.
club. So yeah, but they don't show anything. They cut away before anything happens.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Was
in
that
that
the
scene in
rope
Cuba, yeah, someone's being.
We don't even describe that.
Well, yeah.
clarify
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So yeah, someone's yada yada. They're doing sexual stuff.
Nice
Anyway,
work.
that's not the point of the scene. The point of the scene is that Fredo, Michael, and company are there. There's a guy that Fredo pretends to have met for the first time. I can't. Anyway, he pretends to meet this guy, and Michael introduces him. And a moment after, they go to the next room, which is that side sex show. The corrupt senator behind him asks, "Where did you find this place?" And he says, "Johnny Ola." Okay, that's like Johnny Ola. He pretends to have met Johnny Ola for the first time. And immediately it cuts to Michael reacting of just, the close up on me. And he's just normal face. And then he hears Johnny Ola tell him, and it's just, it's that.
Man, he was perked,
immediately,
bro.
Michael Al Pacino reacts to this, and he knows immediately that Fredo has been full of shit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, super like lying heavily to Michael.
So
And he's a moron. He literally, in my video that I released on Godfather 2, where I talk about it with Ben, and I think it might have been cut. We talked about that, and he said, "Well, you've been drinking," and I was like, "Okay, you have to be really drunk or really stupid to just openly admit something that would indict you and cast you out from the family, to have no self-control or awareness of what you're doing." It's very moronic what he did, what he said.
Yeah.
Look it out. Just nothing, no self-control in him.
Now, Kyle, at first you kind of took us down a bit of a digression. However, in reality, that whole assassination attempt, that's what the whole movie turned on. It was that event, and then everything else that kind of happened after that was ultimately went back to that assassination attempt. And so you asked the question about Fredo and his character and intelligence level, and I think you also nailed it. I just don't think he was smart enough to really know what was going on.
Yeah, and the people around him that were orchestrating the assassination attempt are obviously smarter than him, and they are taking advantage of his close relationship, his siblingship with Michael. That's why they approached him ultimately.
That's right. Yeah.
And they took advantage of his jealousy because he is the older brother. And they have a scene later on in the movie where he admits that he did know something was going to happen. And he gets frustrated with Michael and said, I was next in line. I'm smart. Yeah,
he had his
I want some respect, Michael. So, yeah.
I like how we got straight to the point with this. I mean, this was like Proctopop mentioned in the chat. He's like, we're just going straight to the spoilers because you cannot avoid this. I mean, like you said, Gen X, man, this is a pivotal part of the whole film is that assassination attempt.
It is the everything incident.
Yeah, everything comes back to that, right? And this is something that I thought was a really weak point of the movie was the villains. I mean, were you guys really excited to see this old guy? This was Roth, right? This was the
Hyman Roth.
Yeah, the big bad. He's the one that from my understanding, because it was very confusing to me. This guy was the one that was behind everything, correct?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah,
yeah, and he's the one that convinced Alfredo to do to conspire to kill Michael. I don't know. This was I was very uninterested in him. Every single time I saw him, I I was like, oh, great.
But you got to give it to him. That is a kind of a cool sweater.
Yeah, he looks even better shirtless, doesn't he, Gen X fan?
That's right. There is a
That's
sequel.
I
Thanks
tried
for
to
reminding me.
Shirtless, yeah.
I tried
He
to
was
find a
shirtless?
good picture of that. Yeah. And he was laying down for everyone to
Who took his
glance at
place in the
him.
movie? Like I know he was retiring in the film. His character was retiring from whatever his role was. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
He was
What are you talking
retiring.
about?
That's why they were having cake and everything. I know it was his birthday,
Oh,
but
yeah, I guess he's almost dead. I mean, he's dying.
yeah, but he was saying that
Uh,
he was passing down his like
oh, you're
legacy.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So like one of the main one of the main focuses of like business in this movie is the Corleone family, of course, now under the I guess leadership of Michael Corleone, Al Pacino. He's interested in investing in Cuba and some casinos down there. Is that right? It's like casinos and hotel.
Mm.
I was a little confused by that. It's like some sort of, flamboyant entrepreneurship venture here. And this guy, he mentions here at the table, he's like the main villain that Michael is sort of playing. He's trying to get him to feel comfortable around him so that he can like take advantage of him later on. But he mentions here at this sequence that he's gonna like give Michael leadership of all his ventures in Cuba. And I was like, I really don't know why he wanted to do that. His character overall was just kind of confusing to me. They dropped so many names in this movie. There's, I think Megan mentions in here, she brings up Don Vito, which I do like him. I think he's great. We get a lot of flashbacks to, Vito Corleone, Marlon Brando as a young man. That's a very interesting
He's not the
prospect
Don
here.
yet, though.
Yeah, that's right. Megan got it wrong. All right. Come on, Megan. Swing and a miss. But I'm glad you brought it up though, because that's also an exciting segment I definitely want to talk about here today. But yeah, it gets confusing because there's so many names involved in his storyline, and then you get a whole bunch of new names here because a lot of the characters that we followed in Godfather 1, most of them were dead. I mean, pretty much every single villain in Godfather 1 was dead. And a lot of the people just weren't involved in the second one. I mean, Michael here, which we'll also talk about this scene
That's
later.
a great screenshot.
You see him at his
sums up his
lowest point right here where he snaps.
Oh, it's the best scene in the film, man.
Oh, definitely.
That was intimidating. The whole approach.
We'll talk about that later. I don't want to get to it
You
yet.
want to go in chronological order? Hey, it's your show. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll get to it soon. But oh gosh, I don't even remember what I was talking about with him anymore.
Well, we talked about the young Vito.
Young Vito.
Yeah.
When did I?
It's okay. We're here to help.
Gosh. All right. Well, maybe
There were a lot of flashbacks to the origin of this family. Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Just how they got going down the path that they ultimately found themselves on. They weren't born into the mafia. I would say the original Don, he kind of fell into it, if you will, almost by accident, became Don.
Yeah,
Robert De Niro. I don't think he set out to become that person, but he ultimately did.
Yeah, and it's funny seeing just how different they are too. Al Pacino here, as you mentioned, Gen X man, this guy, he goes through quite the transformation in this movie. At the very end of the last one, he does, kind of the unthinkable, like nothing Vito probably would have ever done, where he, ordered the assassination of all the top leaders of the 5 families and pretty much the last few remnants of his enemies that were still causing him trouble. And yet, we begin here. He's not exactly super cold and cruel as he was in the very end of the last one, but he goes further down and down and down into a place where it's like, unrecognizable. And I think just like the first one where Al Pacino kind of snaps, we see it yet again here with this scene. Throughout the whole movie, he's just sent on a wild goose chase trying to deal with, trying to get the heat off of his ass because of the recent assassination attempt. He's trying to do a lot of the investigation himself, really, and he's caught, by surprise that his wife, who no longer loves him, has terminated their son. And when he hears that, he is really mad. And this is the face you get. This is a calm man.
Yeah.
Both movies, cool, calm, and collected. Nothing breaks him. But boy, oh boy, when you see this face here, a fire is about to erupt. How do you guys feel with this?
Now,
eruption
he has
on
an
screen?
outburst earlier in the movie when he finds out that there was a preborn termination, and he's talking to Tom. What's his last name?
Tom.
It's not Hannigan.
Do you mean
Oh,
that
no.
family attorney?
Yeah, it's Tom something.
You're talking about Robert Duvall?
Yes,
Okay.
it's Tom something. Anyway, he's talking to him, and Tom is the one that actually, and this is all off screen. He's the one that reveals to Michael that Kay had the child terminated, as you're saying. I'm going along with your terminology. Do you not want to say it? Do you not want to say it?
I don't know how it works. Just say that.
Yeah. Okay. So, and he wanted to know, Michael, if it was a boy. And he says, "Was it a boy?" So that he had an outburst about the scene is done. And then way later in the third act, this scene right here when sorry. That scene with Tom, he says it's a miscarriage. My bad. So scratch what I said about it being, it being a termination. This is when he finds out that it was a termination, a preborn termination. That's why he's wide-eyed like that. Because Kay tells him to really show him that she means business, of how serious she wants out, and it's not going to work though. Because
he snaps here.
Of all the things that happened in the movie, I felt like that one really stabbed him in the heart. I think on a couple of levels. One, he was really looking forward to the birth of this child, like any future father would. But two, everybody around him, as sly as they were, he always seemed to figure out what their motives and what their next steps were going to be, what they were all about. But she fooled him.
Good point.
She had him believing that it was a miscarriage. And when she announced, it was an abortion, I think his ego was hurt because he hadn't picked up on that himself. So she was taking a swipe at his pride on a surface level, and then also on a deep level, that she wanted to end the pregnancy because she wanted to end his dynasty. And he just couldn't take that. And I'm surprised he didn't just throttle her right there. So, I don't know. I felt like that, the attempt on his life was a turning point. And then I think that conversation with her was also a turning point in his disintegration.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, he was stabbed in the back big time. The whole time he thought it was just an accident, and he was already heartbroken. He was very, very heartbroken about it. And then that scene when she tells him it was on purpose. Oh, that build up to it was at least at least 20 seconds of him staring at her like that. The face
that was good.
It just turned into horror within.
That was horror right there.
That
was
amazing.
horror.
I just knew something bad was like Practical said. I'm not with violence against anybody, but I'm surprised he did hit her once. I mean,
he lunges after her. It's not just he lunges across the room, and the chair falls over. And I wonder if Al Pacino actually hit Diane Keaton, because their acting is incredible in that scene.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, she was shocked. She was but he did you're right. He almost did tackle her as he slapped her. That was a violent hit, but I'm surprised he didn't lose control afterwards and just
keep doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was pretty awesome. you know, it was exciting to watch because it was like the first.
Oh yeah, it
confrontation,
was.
like big confrontation. Like,
See him blow up, you know.
oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that's
Yeah, lively.
yeah.
Yes,
He's the
yeah.
cool guy, you know. It's chill.
Yeah.
You always wonder like what would do it for him, right?
I always
And-
like to see a pissed off Al Pacino.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
something
well,
that was. That, wait.
I think we're about to say the same thing, that this is the emergence of the Al Pacino that we know and love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
Well, yeah, that's the funny thing. Like that scene reminded me. It's like, oh yeah, he's also Scarface. It's like, you know, you look at that and this, they're like nothing alike.
Yeah.
Nothing alike. They're like two totally different dudes. I don't know how I could possibly pair them up. That would be interesting to watch both of them and then try to compare both characters, because they are, you know, of course, you know, men of power and purpose, but yeah, very different.
Well,
It makes me want to see Scarface watching this, you know, all the way through, because it's like I want to see him go nuts. You know, he goes so crazy in Scarface.
Yeah, and to clarify, we're not saying we know and love the Al Pacino that hits women. It's about his outburst of
the wild.
afterwards, even when he says, "Is conversation over?" You know,
Uh-huh.
that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how he does that. Like he's such a great acting method. But like Scarface, you know, way in the future, I'd say like 10 years later from you know, he has a lot more you know, acting experience to go through
Yeah.
to build up to that stage of his life where he's, you know, supposed to be playing a very violent and angry character. So he's doing a good job this early on. This is 1974.
Yeah, it's still crazy to think that the first Godfather was like his big role. You know, that was his big
Yeah.
one. I'm curious about De Niro. I'm wondering if this was
I was
sort of
thinking,
how
yeah.
far this was in
This
his
is like his
tenure.
first. I'd say this is one of his first because
He looked
what is
so
it?
young in this. It was
Taxi
so
Driver-
funny how young
Taxi
he
Driver
looked.
is 2 years later. And
Oh,
Taxi
wow,
Driver was,
really?
like- yeah, Taxi Driver was 76. This was 74.
He
So I
may
think
have
this
been
is-
in Mean Streets, which was
Huh.
Scorsese's film, and I think that's what got him noticed. But I could be wrong because I haven't seen that film. I just know it was in the same vicinity. Eventually, I'm going to get around to watching those other movies that
Mean
Scorsese
Streets.
does. Yeah, that's one of the early Scorsese films that he did. So
Jen Iceman and I, before
yeah.
the stream, we were talking about how it's like, you know, De Niro, he used to be the man. I mean, he was the man in so many of these films, you know, I mean, in Goodfellas and Casino, you know, Godfather here. It's so sad that like that actor, he's just got absolutely nuts as
how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, he was great, man. I mean, he was awesome. And we were just watching an interview where they had like Godfather reunion, and they had James Caan, Robert Duvall, De Niro, Al Pacino, and the lady, you know, the actress's name, Luke. What's her name? Ty something.
Talia Shire.
Talia Shire. Yeah, they were all there. And Al Pacino actually looked the best. He actually looked pretty good. Everybody else looked pretty terrible at their older age. I mean, he still didn't look the best, but that's also just another crazy reality, is that like this is an old film. This is old. I mean, it's just crazy to think how much has changed since then. I'm sort of at a place where it's like, when it comes to like at home viewing, like watching, if I'm going to go out of my way to watch a movie at home, I don't even want to watch a new movie at home. I'd rather, why not just explore all the old stuff while you're at home and just save the new stuff for the theaters? Because I don't know what it is for me. Like, I think it's because Luke, thankfully, we've had the pleasure of watching so many great films over the years together, old movies, that now I've kind of placed it where it's like the grainy quality and sort of just the I don't know, the style of filmmaking and such from older films, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s. That's movies to me. And for whatever reason, like just how clean and like Hallmark everything looks nowadays, I don't even like consider it like a true movie. Like, you know, I think you watched it with me 28 Days Later. Did you see that with me in theaters?
That isn't even out yet, right?
No, we watched the first. Okay, maybe you weren't there. I was with some buddies and we watched 28 Days Later. They released it again in theaters, and it looked really. It looked bad in the theater. It looked bad. It looked really grainy. But you know, you'll watch that. It still
was
feels
shot
like
with mini DV tape, man.
I was fine with it, man.
I
was fine with it.
Standard
I
HD.
liked the vibes, man. I liked the vibes. But we literally watched that, and then they showed footage from the new 28 years later, and it's like unbelievable the difference between the two. It's just insane to see just how far everything's gone. But since we're talking about it, I think
Really
we pretty
quick.
much. Oh wait,
Isn't
what's up?
Cillian Murphy in the original 28 Days Later?
Yeah, that's like his big one.
Okay,
I haven't
that's what
seen.
okay, that one.
I haven't seen 28 Weeks Later. I know we might talk about that next week.
I heard that wasn't that great of a movie.
Yeah, I've heard.
My recollection, it was good.
Okay, I hope it's good.
It's different than the first, but it has its own worth.
The new one comes out pretty soon. I got tickets to
next
see
week,
it
I think.
June 19th. I think
Wow.
the 19th.
I anticipate it, but I'm a little hesitant because I just read an article that said Cillian Murphy is not going to be in it until the end of the second one.
It's a new
they're planning
trilogy.
a trilogy, yeah. And they're saying they're waiting for funding for the third film. I'm thinking about this because Kevin Costner tried to do this, and
oh no. You know what's funny? Okay, just real quick, since we're off on a tangent, the Horizon film, I saw that in theaters. I was pretty disappointed, but it was actually in January when it hit streaming. It was the #1 most streamed movie across all platforms.
Because
it's crazy?
Not a movie. It is chapter 1 is comprised of 3 episodes of a streaming series.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Definitely. It's too much to chew on. It's too much. But, I think it had goodwill behind it. Let's talk to the chat real quick. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We appreciate you. Let's see. Proctophile. In the Mafia, no one gets out unscathed. That's for sure. Literally nobody in this film gets out unscathed. Even poor little Fredo. Poor Fredo. That movie has been out for years. I haven't seen it, so joke's on me. Yeah, we're spoiling it, Cass. Sorry about that. Deal with it. Megan the Texan. I did not see the murder attempt coming. I saw it for the first time and was very caught off guard. That's good.
That's a good way. That's a good word.
Kyle, did you watch this again today, or did you see it recently? Or I
watched part of it. I started watching the commentary, and I'm going to finish it later because I love Francis Ford Coppola's commentary. And one of the things that I did rather, for the third film is I prepared very in depth on that film, and you'll find out why.
I'm excited.
So I've listened to the entirety of the third film
with the commentary.
The commentary. I've seen because there are 2 versions of the third film. There's a re-edited version that Coppola did in 2020, and I get into the differences as to why and how it's different. But also, I prepared by listening to the commentary, which I had to seek out a physical copy to do so.
Wow, that's the way to do it, Kyle. Physical media all day. Buy your DVDs. Amazon does not need your money for a digital copy, even though I bought it digitally today. So don't listen to me. I'll also get it on physical media as well. All right. Oh, Proctophile, we doing spoilers for the ending already? Hell yeah. You didn't like to see the flashbacks? I did. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Kind of funny how the guy wants to be a leader looks like the leader from Marvel. Wait, are you talking about him?
Yeah.
He does look like the leader. He looked better. He looked better than what is his name? Sam Stearns or whatever. I don't know if that's the actor's name or the character, but
it's the character's name.
It's a character. Oh, well, I'd much rather Fredo be the leader. Hyman Ross, she was trying to help you out.
There it is.
Referring to a burlesque performance as a sideshow, so uncultured.
That was not burlesque. You should watch it. Try watching that scene again. It ain't burlesque.
You don't have to watch it again, Proctophile. You're good. Fredo proves time and time again that he has no leadership potential. That's sad. Poor Fredo. We love you, Fredo. It's okay. Gotta give it to the old man. He was in pretty good shape for his age. It just goes to show us how lazy we've gotten nowadays. Yeah, I think you're talking about Al Pacino.
Were you talking about Hyman Roth?
What are you talking about? Oh, okay. The shirtless Hyman Roth.
Well, you noticed he did take a smaller piece of cake than everybody else.
And I did not.
He's still healthy. You missed that, Kyle. You missed it.
Smaller piece.
He had. You're right. They gave him a big piece, and then he said, "No, a smaller piece."
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
He's counting his calories.
That's
awesome.
what you tune in to the show for, guys. The details.
That's good
Small
because
world.
this movie is very dense with details.
My
Uh-huh.
gosh, it was a lot to chew on. It really was. I'm having a hard time keeping it all together because it's like reading 2 novels back to back,
Yeah. I mean,
which is
two-parter.
good. It's nice though. It's engrossing.
For context, just real quick. So half of this movie, by way of these prequels of young Vito, that is in the original Godfather book. Okay.
Oh.
The storyline of Michael in the present tense, that's all original stuff that
Oh, okay.
Puzo and Coppola came up with for the screenplay.
Okay.
So this is an amalgamation of material that was in the book and an original screenplay, which I think is really cool and innovative, especially for that time.
That's a good note. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I'm always curious because it says like Mario Puzo's The Godfather. That like pops up every time. I think.
Yeah,
that's
maybe it can be.
Maybe he's the
confusing for some
writer.
people.
Maybe he wrote the book.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
he wrote. Okay, he
Yeah,
wrote
so
Godfather.
some people might get the impression that he's the director, right? No, he's the writer.
Yeah, when I like announced like the stream for this and Godfather 1, I just want to give Francis Ford Coppola so much credit because I've fallen in love with so much of his work, and it really feels so great to be able to visit these films, and it's so nice that we get to watch it for the first time. I bet a lot of people that are going to watch this stream will probably wish that they could have rewatched this for the first time, right? I mean, you can never take that back. So I think it's a lot of fun that we get to watch these old films. First time glance. Yeah, classic films. Proctfile, I'm surprised that he only hit her once. When most guys snap, they don't hold back afterwards. Fair enough. Thanks, Proctfile. TGV Monster, such handsomeness on screen. Ooh, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Is that Joe Hendry? Who the hell is that? Anybody know Joe?
Who's Joe?
I don't know Joe Hendry. It might be a Joe Mama joke. I don't think so. Josh Peck, say his name and he appears.
Josh Peck, the Josh Peck.
You know who that is? I don't think it's who you think it is.
Oh,
yeah, we don't know what you're talking about, Zoe. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop looking at these. Nice. Okay, so let's talk about Vito because this is a big part of the story. I was kind of wondering because I saw that De Niro was in this. Truly, I really didn't know what his position was going to be in this. I thought that the third movie, like part 3, was going to be all about his character. I didn't even think Al Pacino was like, we were going to see more of Michael Corleone before seeing this. And then we were thrown in here and we're juggling 2 really big storylines. Mm-hmm. And Young Vito's was a lot of fun. I'm definitely curious about what you guys think about like comparing the 2, which one you enjoyed more, because they're very different. I mean, we're you get like 1950s with Michael Corleone, and then with Vito Corleone here, you're in the early 1900s, and it's 2 totally different settings, really 2 totally different tones as well. How do you guys feel about this segment of the film?
I think the flashbacks are more watchable than Michael's storyline.
I would agree. Yeah. In fact, without those flashbacks, I think the movie would have been pretty flat and a bit of a trudge to get through. I like looking back. I always like period dramas where, they try to take you another time and place. And, even just seeing like the Ellis Island scenes and, how he really came from nothing, trying to escape people who were trying to murder him back in Sicily or wherever it was. All that was very interesting, and that's what held my attention more than the stuff happening in the latter years.
Now, technically, the whole storyline is a period piece. It's more fascinating to go back even further.
That's right.
To the early 1900s, and we start off the movie in Sicily with Vito as a child. And we see these chyrons describing the family drama and going on in relation to them with the mafia. And, I think his father insulted a mafia chieftain, and then the chieftain killed the dad, and then the brother was going to swear vengeance. This is all from a text, so it's actually kind of a faux pas when it comes to cinema. It's supposed to be show, don't tell.
They give you a lot straight up.
Yeah. So that happens where there's a lot of intricacies when it comes to the relationships and what happened to who and why, blah 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 blah. So eventually he gets smuggled out of Sicily and comes to America as a young boy, and eventually grows up to be this guy, Robert De Niro. And that's when the movie picks up. Even though, as you said, Gen X-Men, that the scenes of coming to Ellis Island, they're still there. It's a good watch because it looks so authentic. It's so well done in that way. And listening to part of the commentary, the beginning of the second one, you know the shot when the young boy Vito is walking to the window looking at the Statue of Liberty? That was just a painting reflection on the window.
Really?
It's
that really doesn't surprise me too much.
It's amazing. Today,
wow,
that's a composite shot. It's a digital shot. All they had to do, it's a giant picture that they've reflected off of a window of the Statue of Liberty. Simple as that.
Wow.
Hallelujah, practical effects.
The evolution. I mean,
I felt like it was like seeing like the flashback, early 1900s. It was sort of like a moving art piece, a moving work of art, really. I don't know. I think it definitely had a more, I don't know, it was more scenic. It felt like very immersive. And De Niro, he doesn't really say much in that whole segment either. You see the development of sort of his gang. There's like a couple different I don't even know their names. They're like you see a lot of younger appearances of the old guys you saw in Godfather 1 that are not alive anymore. But just great setup for his character. Marlon Brando, of course, he's Godfather, and this movie really suffered because he wasn't in it. It really did. We really needed Marlon Brando in here, even though he had just a humble, subtle presence in the first one. We needed him in this. We really did.
I wouldn't say it was a subtle presence. I think his presence was permeating throughout that film, even though he was off screen, because it just echoes throughout the film, and it's one of the reasons why I consider the first film better than the second.
I definitely consider the first one better than the second. That's for sure.
Nothing against Robert De Niro, but I was having a stretch trying to liken him in his appearance to Don Corleone later in his life.
Fair. I get that. They don't look similar.
No, they don't.
Honestly, you can't. I personally did not really enjoy this segment of the film.
Wow.
De Niro, I don't know. I didn't really understand it too much. I don't know if I was paying attention, but I don't know. Just saw the subtitles of like the Italian speaking kind of.
Yeah, that was hard to follow. I mean, it was all Italian pretty much. Everyone was just
but you got
Italian
subtitles, right, guys?
Yeah, but I mean, it was kind of hard to follow. But just to really off topic, I'm going to respond to the comments. Kind of, I can kind of see it. Neck up. I just looked it up. Neck up.
I don't know who that guy is. Joe Hendry.
He's a professional Scottish wrestler.
Oh,
I don't know. But I mean, I kind of see it. But
are they saying you look like this person?
Okay. Yeah, Joe Hendry. He's a Scottish professional.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. For me, I think the highlight of really the whole film for me, I really enjoyed the disgusting, what's his name? Don Fanucci. I wish I had a picture of him here. Don Fanucci, the big, fat, ugly, mafia leader in the early 1900s. He was so gross. And, you sort of like his power and his style of running the show here in New York City was so different than what we're used to seeing. I mean, that guy, he had no muscle at all. It was just him roaming around threatening people. And, we get, fast forward to where we are like 50 years later. And, you got Michael Corleone and he's got 100 goons and, there's 75% of the stuff he won't do himself. But then you have the Don back here in the time and he was doing everything. And I really enjoyed seeing him in the picture. I don't have a picture of him here, unfortunately.
You're talking about Blackhand, right? The guy who wears all white.
Yeah.
I remember him now. I take it back. I do like De Niro in the scene where he offed Finucci.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He wraps a blanket around his arm and the revolver that he's going to take him out with.
And he took him out good. Like he was trying to I don't know. He was trying to prove something because he really a lot of unnecessary shots there. that he took on Finucci. Like he
Oh yeah, that
shot him.
was good.
He triple tapped. If
I
you will.
like the
You know what he
dramatic.
did?
Yeah.
He did a Vincent from Collateral. 2 in the sternum, 1 in the head.
Good one. Good
one in the
one.
mouth too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
Gen X
ask.
here's
Let me
you.
ask all of you. Let's just play what if for a minute. What if this movie was only about the rise of Don Corleone?
Ooh,
That'd be
I would have
a
watched
I'd
it.
be
whole
yeah,
movie
I'm
right there.
in.
Just skip Al Pacino and that other time frame entirely.
Mm.
Wow.
Except maybe give it a wink at the end or something just to bring us back to where we are.
Probably shake it up a little.
Mm.
Yeah, because it was so otherworldly, really, seeing the U.S. in the turn of the century. Very few cars, very primitive cars. People just lived and dressed and related to one another much differently, and the culture was so much. It's just a world away. That's why I said it was sort of a period piece, because even though it was probably set in the 50s, I still felt like it was somewhat modern.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
Yeah.
the present time, if you will, in Godfather 2. And I really like the older scenes. And I think that might have made for a better movie, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
look different. And I'd have to double check probably eventually as I go through the commentary. He'll specify that the film stock was probably different for the flashbacks that they used. I wonder if that was the case, because it looks visually different. It looks a
Yeah, it
little bit
does.
glossy,
Yeah,
a
that's a
little
good
bit
point.
cloudy, more
It had like a
grainy.
yellowish tint I enjoyed. That really put me in there. I love when they do that. I love just simple tints. Like Walking Dead did that for the longest time, where it had this eerie, dazed, sort of smoky atmosphere all the time. And then the last like 3 seasons, they completely ditched that. And then we're just watching Hallmark TV at that point. Everything's crystal clear, everyone's got their makeup on, everyone's clean. It totally ruined it. Totally ruined the immersion. And something I'll give Godfather a lot of credit. And Luke was, I saw him a few times today nodding off,
All right, one time
falling asleep. But you know what?
One
This is
time.
it's a slow burn. Obviously, it's a slower burn than even the first one, I think. Even though I
Caught
guess
me.
it has a little bit more. I guess
Well,
it has a little bit more intense scenes, I guess. But I don't know. For me, I just love being able to like sit down and in a not a weird way, just kind of like surrender myself to the film, where you're just in the film, you throw yourself in that world, and you just
That
let it
didn't
do the
sound
thinking for
weird.
you. Okay. I don't know. That
Sure.
sounds weird. Saying
No,
that.
I've heard that
No,
phrase
it's-
before.
Okay,
Sure.
good.
Yeah, that's what
good.
makes a good movie. You do
Yeah.
lose yourself in it. You go somewhere else for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Detached
first
from the
time
present
you've ever
reality.
you surrendered to a
Yeah,
film
I
before.
don't know, man. I don't know. I get dogged on for
Surrendered
my
yourself
vernacular
to-
too often, man. Too often. But
Yeah.
yeah, this was overall. I mean, both Godfathers are so immersive. The first one way
Right.
more so than the other, and it's all about atmosphere. Like you said, Gen X man, that this is like, it's just a setting that just seems so foreign. It's like you want to go there. I want to stand in the scene and I want to watch him. I felt like I was an observer walking across the street watching Vito's story unfold here. I didn't really feel that way with Michael Corleone's as much.
Because those scenes in Michael's storyline, a lot of them are isolated and not as interesting, because there is an aspect of globetrotting, to respond to what you said earlier about how it doesn't feel like a Godfather film. And the reason is because a lot of it doesn't take place in New York City. The flashbacks do, but the present tense doesn't. He's globetrotting, going to Cuba, takes place instead of New York City. He's now living in Lake Tahoe, etc. Los
Yeah,
Angeles or
very
Las Vegas
foreign vibe.
eventually.
I wonder
And,
why they did that.
To juxtapose this one,
Switch
with
things up, I
Yes,
guess, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That was a mistake, I thought. It would have been so nice if we just kept it in hometown.
I didn't get a
Because,
big
yeah,
mafia
Cuba,
vibe.
being in Cuba felt weird. It was a weird space. I just it didn't feel Godfather at all, You're used to the Italian atmosphere, New York city
Mhm.
streets. That was a big disappointment. And we spent a lot of time there too. And seeing that he's interested, I guess he wasn't. Was he really interested in investing in Cuba, or was all of this just to get at Roth's, to get back at Roth? That's the big question, right?
So this is the interesting part about the movie that I think is really subtle but also interesting. That I would agree with Ben on. I did the first video, or the video on the first film and the second that are on the channel right now, is that he said you have to pay attention, and you even have to watch it another time. And I even balked at that. I still think that a movie should be experienced for the first time, you understand it, and then the next time you glean more from it. So when you watch the second film, what he's doing is he's playing psychological games with these people, and he's not telling them what he's thinking. He's not saying what he's thinking. When he sits down with Hyman Roth, they're both bullshitting each other, because Michael suspects a lot of people. He's investigating his own assassination attempt, essentially.
Does he?
Yeah.
That is true.
So,
yeah.
That's what's going on. What's being said.
There's a lot of bullshitting in this.
Said.
Like, it's like
Yeah.
it's a circle of bullshit just over and over again with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, that's pretty much so. Is my mic a little louder?
You sound
Yeah,
good.
that is loud.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, good. Practified.
Aside from
Practified's
that, what
complaining
sounded
about
like
your-
a spinning plate a second ago.
Luke's doing tricks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, I don't know. I think obviously this film, it seems like it's pretty unanimous, other than Luke, that we all enjoyed the first one more than this one. In what ways do you think this movie suffers just overall?
The length.
Yeah, the length it really drags out.
It's
Cuba,
over 3 hours.
Yeah, any movie over
And the
3
globe
hours.
trotting that you mentioned, Kyle, it really it's hard to follow a story when it just keeps jumping from one setting to the next.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not even just in time, but in geography. It's just like, okay, where are we again? Why are they here?
Mm-hmm.
What's the goal?
Mm-hmm.
I
There are
think
a lot
part
of
of it.
things that go unsaid, and that's a frustrating bit that I don't think holds up about these films, and even the first film, is that there are things left off screen that I have trouble with. And just to real quickly jump to the back to the first film, is that Apollonia. I have a hashtag in one of the shorts that I have, both on my IG and on YouTube, which is Justice for Apollonia, because her storyline doesn't get closure. Now, for the second film, they actually filmed a scene that was conclusory to that asshole that planted the bomb in Sicily that killed Apollonia.
Yeah, nothing happened to him.
Well, he's not in this film, but there's a deleted scene in which Michael sends his lackeys to plant a bomb and kill him off. And he's running his restaurant. It's out late at night. And he goes to the car, and it's almost a haphazard bomb. It's not a the car goes into 1,000 pieces. No, it's like almost a poof kind of short fiery explosion, and he just crawls out. There's just a lot of smoke. So it's like it was meant for him to
Pretty
suffer.
lackluster. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, but we can't I don't count that because it's a deleted scene. Yeah, some people might say, no, they did a TV version where they showed these films in chronological order, right? I haven't seen that version, but that includes a lot of deleted scenes, and that is one of them. But we're talking about the theatrical versions, and that deleted scene is not included. Therefore, it's not in consideration, and that's why I still argue that they made a mistake. I think that deleted scene should have been in the first film, because there's just this open door of what the hell. He goes back from Sicily after his wife gets murdered, and nothing. He goes to Kay and says, "You're going to be my wife. Get in the car." Okay.
I think that Apollonia, she was like, it was so brief, but I really enjoyed that romance. I was immediately hooked. That was one of the best. That might be my favorite pieces of romance in film altogether. I was completely on board with that. Yeah. And it's so magical, and it's hard to exactly understand why. But I know after I watched the movie, there was like this edit where it's the Godfather theme playing with like their scenes together, and it hits so hard. It's so good every time.
And they're
And
so
it's just
limited. That's what's so amazing, is that you're not spending a lot of time with them, yet it's so enveloping. You know?
Yeah,
Why
it's like
did
that
he
with,
go
you know,
back there? Why did he go back and to Sicily or whatever? Was that explained in the first one?
yeah, I
Was it
think
just a
he was
vacation
just trying
or?
to evade, like after killing the
Oh, he was on the
Sergeant.
lam.
yeah,
Okay.
the sergeant, yeah,
Okay.
And the other guy.
Yeah.
yeah, the other guy. You can't remember all these names, all these
Yeah,
like
you
elaborate
really you
Italian
would have
names.
to see these films multiple times in order to commit these names to
Yeah,
memory.
that's another
Or
reason why I'm
take
not
notes,
a
etc.
big fan. It makes it very long. The second one, especially, all the characters.
Gosh,
There are a lot.
And it kind of bounces around a little bit from characters. Like it goes to De Niro's group of
yeah, all
characters.
those people.
And
It's like
then
you're
you're like,
supposed to recognize them from last movie.
you're right.
but
Yeah,
they're
that's a good point,
younger,
Kyle. You do have to watch this multiple. You have to be like a Godfather
enthusiast.
enthusiast, super fan to like genuinely enjoy and recognize a lot of these characters and know what's going on most of the time.
You know what?
It's just a lot.
Luke Galliardo, I've heard that there are people that watch this movie all the time.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, I forget.
Who was telling me recently that their relative or father watches it every single week.
Like multiple times a month. That is insane.
Wow, that's
like
amazing.
that is dedication.
Is it just the second, or is it a combination with the first? What is it?
I think it was the first that they were talking
circulation.
about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it's
It's
both. I don't know.
Awesome. Thank you, Practifile.
You know, so I think something that was really irritating to me was this guy. He just kept popping up. I knew right off the bat in the very beginning of the movie, I said out loud that, oh, I can't stand this dude. He really irritated me. And he just showed up all the time. And, you know, of course, he's like sort of one of those like anti-heroes, you know, mostly just a villain most of the time. You know, kind of causing trouble for Michael Corleone. And then you get this long court proceeding, which felt really unnecessary. That also kind of was globetrotting, in my opinion. Like you get this big kind of court procedure where the Corleone family is being, I don't know, indicted or investigated. And this guy becomes part of the mix as a witness. And that whole thing, just like in Oppenheimer, Kyle, I think you mentioned this on our last stream, how it was like, you know, the film ended, and then it ended with the big bomb, and then right after that you get like a court proceeding for like another hour, and here we are.
Dude. It's not even a court proceeding. You're in this tiny little room, and they're grilling him for the next half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And this was kind of similar.
tedious.
This was way better than that, but that whole procedure just kind of, I don't know. I wasn't interested in that, and this guy was a big part of that interest as well. And this guy, you know, he was an irritating element, and he just would not stop popping up. I did not like him. That's something I would remove.
The way he talked,
sure.
you know, bugged me a lot. I liked his ending. No,
wait,
offense.
what? Oh, jeez, Luke,
that
messed up.
That was my favorite scene of him. You know, because he wasn't talking. You know, he was he was
relaxing in his tub.
Yeah, he was going through a little soak. What? No. I'm talking
right. Well, this is right before. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something so cool. So Robert Duvall here, he really does not get enough credit. I loved his character in both these movies as like, you know, not the clean lawyer, but I mean, he's just the, I don't know. He's a straight shooter, straight thinking lawyer, very calculated and cool. And I love his character. Robert Duvall is awesome. And he does sort of the impossible, and he convinces this guy to off himself, and in the hope of like securing a future for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it. And it's like, I don't know how you could ever convince somebody to do that. It was really pretty hard to watch, just that whole conversation. And, you know, something I really respect about Francis Ford Coppola and the writers and the whole creative team with The Godfather is the subtleties are just so beautifully expressed here. It's like, you know, they don't say what they're thinking, but you know what they're thinking, and you know the ideas that they're trying to convey. Like he never tells him to do that, and it's like barely referenced. That's like what he wants to have happen here, but you understand it, and you see both of this. You see both of their expressions. You see both of their mindsets in this situation, and they just Francis Ford Coppola. He's able to infuse this same artistry time and time again with the whole map of characters. It's really impressive, and you just don't see that sort of mastery in anything now.
In
Not at all. No, Captain America: Brave New World, right?
Hey, you mentioned it. You mentioned it.
Godfather 2's writing. I just did a Donald Trump right there.
Yeah.
Hey, can you explain something to me?
Yeah.
I look, I like Robert Duvall. I think he's really a great actor. But the whole praise about his character, I need someone to explain that to me, because look, as I see it, he's the neutral character within this whole group of people that are nefarious, etc., and dark, and he's kind of a light in the darkness in a way that's subtle. That's as far as I can describe him. He's a rational person. Is there more to him that I'm missing?
No, I think you're right, Kyle, and it almost seemed like there was a talk that Michael Corleone had with him where he said, I think of you as a brother, and I'm handing over the keys of the kingdom to you. And I sort of had a feeling like he wanted him to be a bit removed from all the messiness and the the evil that they were plotting. That's what it felt like to me. Like he wanted somebody that still had the semblance of a conscience in the midst of them. So I agree with your summation of him.
I guess I don't detect it or appreciate it as much as a lot of other people do, because Ben, and similar to what you're talking about, Jackson, is that you two just like he said something similar to what you said. It was like, I love this character. I think he's amazing. Why the hell didn't they pay him enough money for the third film? Which I agree with. So
he's not in the third.
Unfortunately not.
Oh, wow. That's a big loss.
Well, I mean,
really.
It is 16 years later, so I mean, I'm
That's
assuming a lot of the characters are not in this third film.
Well, Gen X Man and we both mentioned,
but there are more characters in the third film than people realize. They're just not detecting it. For example, when you get to that, the bodyguard, one of the bodyguards, not the one that was the asshole that planted the bomb. There was a good bodyguard that didn't betray him. Callow was his name. He's in the third film.
Oh wow,
he's kind
of weird.
He's
what
kind
the
of yeah.
Well, he was a good guy though. He wasn't like one of the
correct. Okay. Michael goes to his estate,
Sicily.
Essentially, in Sicily, and he plays a significant screen time portion of the movie. But people don't. And actually, he's in the end in a significant part that I won't spoil. But
wow.
You got to be paying attention to that type of stuff. So,
is the third movie worth watching? I've heard that it's a stinker.
I don't know. From the brawler.
Has anyone else seen it?
No, I have not seen it. No,
none of us.
Jackson or Brawler's been dogging it.
I know. Because of what Kyle's told me.
Wait, what do you mean by dog? You're trashing it?
I'm not trashing it. I have very low expectations.
Okay.
Because of all the negative stuff I've heard.
That's fine.
But you have.
Yeah, we'll keep it at that. I'll be coy about this for now.
Well, do you want to tease what's going on with you
for the future?
Well,
at the end.
Okay, at the end. Okay. Well, we're about to wrap up. That's why I bring it up.
Okay. Well, really quick, the practical file. This ties into that one scene we were just talking about. The senator. What practical file just said? You want to pull up the comment
right here?
He just read it.
Are you guys all right? Practical file. Are you guys not familiar with the history of the Manhattan Project? That senator tried to make Oppenheimer a patsy for the horrors they had created. Is that what you wanted to?
Read? It's pretty interesting.
Was it supposed to be the same character and all?
That's what I was thinking.
Same senator?
Yeah, that's what I was.
I think he brought this up because we're talking about Oppenheimer. I don't think this has anything to do with this.
Is the name of the senator based on a true senator that was involved in real life when it comes to something political machinations? Is it? No, I don't know.
We don't know, Proctor File. Sorry, man. You're probably just talking about Oppenheimer because we were bringing that
Yeah.
up
All
earlier.
right, my bad. I just saw Manhattan Project and Oppenheimer. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that tied in.
Come on, Luke. Come on.
Luke,
All right,
did you
guys.
like Oppenheimer?
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
You don't need to see it. It's fine. You could
Yeah.
sleep that one out.
yeah.
It's
If
all
you
right.
do see it, once the bomb goes off,
Just turn
Leave.
it off.
stop
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's the end of
That's
the
a good
movie.
time. Yeah.
Right.
So let's finish up and maybe talk about what you were most shocked by with Godfather Part 2. Because there were, like, for as much of a slow burn as it was, there was some pretty shocking material that really caught me off guard. I don't know if any of you guys would want to start first, or I could bring up some because Luke, you got some?
Yeah, I'll just get mine out of the way really quick because it's gonna be pretty.
Maybe something we haven't mentioned before.
Okay. The ending. I don't know if I missed it, but that whole scene in the very end, I don't know if I can match this up with being shocked, but it was new to me. The very end when he was sitting at the dinner table with his relatives.
Oh
I
yeah, that
believe.
was interesting.
I did not know he enlisted in the Marines.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I don't know why his brother was so shocked and aggravated with the fact that he was going into the Marines.
He
I
doesn't
think
want
it was
him to die, man.
yeah. Oh, that's why. Okay. That's fair. I thought it's just because he was upset that he was like dropping like his like mafia stuff or whatever.
Yeah, it's
I think
both.
that was part of it.
It's
yeah.
both. He doesn't want to go have the risk of his little brother going off to war or World War War II. Yeah, that was the war. And die because he enlisted after Pearl Harbor. So yeah, he doesn't want him to go off and possibly die, and then also he's not going to be a part of the family and get involved with it. So it's both.
All right. Okay. In practice file, I will try to check it out, and then he wants me to watch Oppenheimer now.
I think for me, I was really surprised by just like the pitter patter we had with this character. I know we've talked about him all day, but the ultimate ending was that he was killed. And it's so funny because you see Michael Corleone, he really that was something that I definitely enjoyed about the movie was the internal struggle he had. He just did not know what to do with his brother.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is merciless. I mean, he will end anyone that gets in the way of his success and his family's safety and success. And that's what his brother did. Fredo, he did that. He betrayed him to some degree. And you know what? He forgives him by the request of his sister, Adrian from Rocky. And he just could not let it go. But then at the very end, he finally kills him. It's insane. I was sad by that because at that point we had developed Fredo as a kind of a sensible family man, sort of, because I loved the scenes we got with him and Michael's son. I thought that was great little development, not too much. We saw a much softer side of him by the end, and that's what made it hurt that much more, right?
So Fredo becomes more sympathetic. I had to think about it when I was talking to Ben about the movie, because I started off just saying I don't know why people care about that character, because for years I'd hear about that Fredo character blah 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 even before seeing it, and then I finally watch it and it's just, what the hell is with this Fredo character? And because he's an idiot, and but here's the sweet aspect of it. There's a scene where he sits down with his brother, with Michael, at a cafe, and he talks about this regret that he has about not having a family. Later on in the movie, this is after Michael finds out he betrayed him, he starts spending time, Fredo does, with his nephew. And he goes, he tells him a story about how he says, a prayer before he casts the line, etc. And you have this development of, this is humanizing to this character and actually makes him empathetic. And then eventually, even though Michael decides to send him in a boat with it, which is, I say this in my video, why the hell would Fredo go into a boat with a guy who probably doesn't have any interest in fishing? You'd think that he might know something was up.
They were setting that up.
But then again, he's kind of an idiot. So would he really know? Would he detect that? But okay, so when Michael forgives him, as you said, because Connie pleads with him to forgive him, what ends up happening is not that he does do that. he's just making Fredo feel secure. Because what happens after when Fredo comes into his arms, and Fredo's sitting down as Michael's standing up to hug him. So you have this vantage point of a close-up of Michael in the dining room. He looks over to Al Neri, one of his henchmen.
Yeah.
And they exchange a look, a knowing look. Ooh, what does that mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he always intended he's going to off him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what's creepy about Michael in this movie, dude. He is a cold bastard. He is cunning and devilish. That's not it's not a bombastic to say so. He's very much kind of a devil in this, which makes it adds to the nature of not wanting to watch it because he's our main character. So he goes to such a dark place. And that's kind of a turn off. The flashbacks are what are more interesting because Vito, as young Vito, he's actually trying to protect his neighborhood and his neighbors.
That's right.
He has some good intentions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
he's not really a bad guy when he becomes the Don. He was sort of doing nice things for people.
Right. Even though objectively speaking, he's murdering this guy.
And he's so bad.
Guy. Yeah. Black Hand. But that guy was
he had a
Black Hand. Yeah. Because he was taking an advantage of these people that didn't have much to begin with.
Right.
He was taking money from them and muscling it out from them and intimidating.
Well, he was preying on his own, right? He was Italian and they were Italian. And
Yeah,
that wasn't cool. Sorry about my cat here.
I thought that was a baby for a second.
Oh my gosh, that was great. Good one, Gen X, man. Not a baby. Okay, yeah. That's a good point.
That's a good reference to the first film when Marlon Brando's petting the cat. That cat was not in the script. Marlon just improvised that. So I like that.
Cat. On that note, since we're talking about cats, I had heard that cat was just seen wandering around the studio grounds, and the director just grabbed it and gave it to Brando.
Yeah.
So just give him something to do with his hands. Learn this thing.
It's a really good thing we're talking about this because it adds sound effects to the story. That's probably what they were hearing.
Gosh,
when they were shooting the first film.
Oh, that was funny, Gen X man. Good stuff. I totally lost my place where we were talking about shocking scenes. Was there anything else real quick before we end, guys? Anything else that shocked you
about the ending? Because I was shocked that it happened and played out that way because
I know.
It took the talk that I had with Ben to realize, he really didn't forgive his brother. Yeah. Why did he just switcheroo on that? Even though he does say that he wouldn't kill Fredo until their mother dies, and he sticks to that. But still, it's just, what? You're gonna kill your own brother? I come from a dysfunctional family, and that kind of stuff is still messed up to me.
Yeah.
So it's pretty extreme for him to do that. And it leaves the movie on a very dark note. Very dark note.
Indeed. That's one of the oddball parts of it. And why they put that scene in the very ending, and it just kind of separated from the rest of the plot. The whole scene in my eyes.
Really, and that kind of goes back to something I opened up with, that every good movie is a morality tale, and when he's sitting alone in that living room. He was there because that sum total of all those decisions that he'd made all of his life that just gone darker and darker. And, he had no heart. He loved nobody. He didn't love his kids. Obviously didn't love his wife. He killed off or was involved in the killing of multiple people close to him. Yeah, he was a monster as much as anyone else that we ever saw.
I really do think that he is suffering. First of all, he was at war, so we didn't see what he had dealt with when he was in the service. So he may have some PTSD there, but he definitely has some PTSD when it comes to Apollonia. He witnessed her being blown up in a car.
They reference that in the third one, don't they? Isn't there like a flashback to that?
I wish that they had dealt with it in the second one, man, because it's that's what I'm saying. There's no there's no conclusion or closure to that character in the first film. There certainly isn't any in this film. And that's a problem to me, because I really do think that the character is suffering from not only the loss of, even though Vito, Marlon Brando, when, his dad died of that heart attack in the garden, I still think he's dealing with some grief when it comes to that. And he's definitely dealing with some PTSD and grieving over Apollonia, because I really do think that was the love of his life, not Kay.
This poor guy, he's been through so much. I mean, you could kind of understand his darkened heart a little bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, he makes a lot of these decisions.
You have over 3 hours to explore this character, and there are a lot of scenes of Al Pacino's acting choices, and it's ultimately up to Francis Ford Coppola to make the creative narrative decisions of Al Pacino sitting in a chair and just deadpan face, cold stares. We don't get a lot out of him. So
yeah, that's true. So let's finish, guys. Would you recommend Godfather Part 2?
There's a lot of hesitancy here. Well, okay, so you don't watch this movie on its own.
No,
okay,
definitely
you don't
not.
watch this movie on its own, guys. You have to watch it in order and in the totality of the trilogy.
Yeah, you have to know what you're getting into. You have to already have a interested thought process going into it, because if you're just going into it like starting Godfather, you're not gonna like it. I'm sorry, you're not gonna like it. That's kind of how I unfortunately went into it. I'm probably gonna have to rewatch the first one again, but it was really hard to grasp. Very hard to grasp. I mean, it was very long, so really research it before you go into it.
Definitely. What about you, Gen X man? Do you recommend Godfather Part 2 to Godfather fans?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. If you saw Part 1 and you enjoyed it, then you're gonna like Part 2. Maybe you'll like it as much or more. Maybe you won't like it as nearly as much, and you might have problems with it like we did. But it's a worthy successor. I just wanted to congratulate all of you for watching these movies, which were made so long ago, and the pacing of them, and the lack of CGI or just bombastic whatever is totally missing from both of these, and yet you weathered them. You got through them both, and you've invested in talking in depth about them, and I'm impressed. You are truly movie aficionados.
You too, Gen X man. That's why you're on the show.
Yeah,
that's why you're on the show, buddy. Yeah, we love it. It's awesome. I think I would. Gosh, I don't know if I'd recommend it. I'd just watch the first one, watch Godfather 1, and then go to bed, and then that's it. I don't think I'm going to recommend the second one. I enjoyed it, but I just wouldn't. I don't think I'd continue the story. I just
as of right now, I believe you. But let's just say this is my tease for the third. Your opinion might change once you've seen the third.
Oh, wow. All right.
Wow.
I think we'll have to watch the third in the near future. And Kyle, it's really funny. This relates kind of to the movie, kind of not. But I was under the impression, for whatever reason, that you were coming to movie night tonight.
I actually was going to make a joke. I said, "Whoa, you had 6 guys over there. Where was my invite?"
Jackson was like, "He lives in Texas." I was like, "Oh, I really misunderstood there." I was so ready to meet you. I was like, "Hey, I can't wait to meet Kyle."
That would have been cool.
I came in. I was like, "Where's Kyle? Is he he's
like,
I love that. He'll be on the stream tonight, but
you're always welcome, Kyle. You're always welcome. Make the trip. Not so bad here.
Looking forward to it all day.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what's going on with you and Godfather 3?
All right. So I'm not gonna hide the possibility of this. Is that so? Next time when you do the live stream for Godfather 3, I'm gonna try to line it up with the video that I'm currently editing, the talk that I did with Ben, and now we've done a trilogy of separate talks for Godfather, and this is the final one for Godfather 3. So I'm going to try to line that up with the next time you do Godfather 3.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
nice.
and anyone else who is interested in a further conversation over a fireside chat and bonfire talk that I have with my buddy Ben, who grew up watching the Godfather movies. So there's a contrast here where I have only just seen it this year. Ben grew up watching these since he was 10 years old or something. So he's been around. Yeah,
Ben's an old timer.
No, he's a little bit younger than me. So that's the thing, Yeah. And he's an actor as well. So he's more,
wow.
Yeah,
Right.
he's
Right.
he's a cinephile or a cineast, as you might call him. And
Yeah.
I just thought of but we get into it. That's the thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
check
have
it
a good
out.
idea. For Godfather 3, you have to come down here and watch it with us.
Yes. Make the
Godfather 3.
trip.
We'll give you we'll give you about 2 weeks in advance.
You can bring the pizza too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kyle can bring pizza from Texas.
Yeah,
And,
that's a great idea.
There you go.
Perfect.
I'll keep it in a hot bag.
Yeah.
you go.
That's awesome. Here,
But you don't know how many times I've seen the third film yet. That's the thing I've been tight-lipped about. That's the thing.
Man.
We'll get into it. We'll get
Man,
into it.
okay, good. Yeah, we'll save that for later. Let's just talk to the chat a few more times. Thanks everybody for talking to us. Horror with Nads. Why am I so mean, box office?
Hey, Nadia.
Is it because you're past your bedtime? Yeah, it is. You made fun of me. Everyone makes fun of me for being young. You're mean.
I think someone said, isn't it a school night for you?
Dicks. No, thankfully I'm out. Don't ever want to step back in a school ever again. Proctophile. If Fredo was halfway sensible, he would have embraced the life of a bald man. Yeah, he would have. Megan the Texan. Ooh, I would disagree with Gen X man. Michael loves Mary. His daughter, you see more of her in The Godfather 3. Okay,
Wow.
Megan. Well, we haven't seen 3, so I'm going to defend Gen X man, but I'm glad
I saw
he
no
loves it.
love for his children.
It's not in this one, that's for sure. Proctophile, I wouldn't recommend it to most people, not because it's low quality, but because most folks wouldn't make it all the way through, let alone care for it. And one day you guys will be together. That's right. One day we will. All four of us. And Gen X Man might reveal himself one of these days to the people that desperately want to know what he looks like. Yeah.
I mean, you still could and have a visor.
That's right. So I know what Gen X Man looks like, and his nose and mouth does kind of look like that. Just saying. I know. But wanted to just finish. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We had a good time tonight talking about Godfather Part 2. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are, and if we left something out, let me know in the chat. Like to talk to y'all about it a lot more. But if you liked what we had to say today, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out Kyle's channel down here, Kyle Corwith. Stay tuned for his Godfather Part 3 video. He makes some great stuff. A lot of chill, in-depth analysis and breakdown, so be sure to check him out. And stay tuned for what Galliardo is also offering, because who knows, he might just throw us a cool movie review in his channel one of these days.
One of these days.
Yeah, but thank you all for